Man, do the former Georgia Bulldogs still have a lot of love and admiration for Georgia football coach Kirby Smart? It's Super Bowl week. The Eagles are playing the Chiefs in just a few days on Sunday evening. And there are a lot of Georgia Bulldogs, a lot of former Georgia Bulldogs. I guess you're a dog for life. A lot of dogs in this game, especially on that Eagles team. I'll get to what the Eagles have concocted with their defense in terms of just stockpiling on Georgia talent. But a lot of I'm not down there. I'm not down there in New Orleans covering this hands-on. But as I watch clips and I watch interviews, the Georgia guys still have just a ton of love for Kirby Smart and respect for him and grace for him. I think that they feel all of those things. I talked the other day about what Senior Bowl director Jim Nagy had to say. He talked about how he builds this really competitive program, how there's really nobody doing it like Kirby. Those were Nagy's words. There's no one really doing it like Kirby Smart. Well, I think that the Georgia players feel the same way. I think that's part of why they choose Athens. They choose Kirby. They choose Georgia. Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, Keely Ringo, Lucine, guys like that. I've watched interview clips from them down there in New Orleans the last couple of days. What are some of the things they are saying? They're talking about how Kirby's one of the greatest coaches that they've ever been around, how he demands excellence, he demands the standard, how they think that he's a great man, really. I mean, for a lack of me putting it in a better way, they think that he is a big reason why they are in the position that they are at. And that kind of coincides, like I said, what the Senior Bowl director was talking about, how there's no one that's building a competitive nature of a program and really developing these NFL players. Kirby and Georgia as a program are spitting out NFL players. Well, some of that is on the player, right? Being very, very talented. And, Brock Bowers is an example, right? That guy, once he got to Georgia and it worked and it clicked, you knew, hey, he's going to be playing on Sundays and he's probably going to be pretty damn good on Sundays. That was the case immediately when he got to the NFL. That's the case for a handful of these Georgia Bulldogs, and there's a lot of them on the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think it says a lot. I really believe that it says a lot about the Georgia football program that they went after so many dogs, and I think it means a lot that those guys, they come around. I'm still here. I'm still in Athens. I'm still covering the Dogs. They're around a lot. The former Dogs from the last few years who were part of national championship teams, even ones that are just part of Kirby Smart football teams, they visit Athens. They like going to these games. They like going to the neutral site games. They care. And that to me coincides a lot, like I said, with what Nagy said the other day and what these Eagles and Dogs and Chiefs are saying about Kirby Smart. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post talking about the Super Bowl a little bit. You all know I like to mix in as much NFL as I can in this because I love football. I love football at all levels. And Georgia has a lot of ties to the NFL because they're pushing out so many guys. 63, I believe, is the number of Georgia Bulldogs who have played for Kirby Smart while he's the head coach of Georgia, have gone on to the NFL. 5 of those 63 are from a couple of seasons ago, and they're on the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Nolan Smith Jr., Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Lewis Cine, those guys. Keely Ringo. Is that 6? Nolan Smith, Keely Ringo, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Lewis Cine. It is 6, so I miscounted. That's a lot. There are a lot of dogs on that defense, and to me, it's a testament to a few things. First of all, it's a testament to recognize the recognition by the Eagles front office and scouts and coaching staff to watch what Kirby and that Georgia defense was accomplishing through recruiting, development, and performance on the field. And they pointed at that and they said, let's go tap in and get a few of those guys. They're all from the 22 and the 23 NFL drafts. We're talking about 6 guys off of 2 drafts. Now, Lewis Cine was acquired, I believe, via free agency. He was acquired. If not, it was through a trade. I believe that the Vikings cut him, so I think that it would have been a signing type of deal, how Lewis Cine ended up on the Philadelphia Eagles. I apologize for not having that information right in front of me. But they drafted Jordan Davis in the first round in 2022. They later on drafted Nakobe Dean in the third round, a guy that I was banging on the table saying Nakobe Dean is better than a third-round pick. This is a guy that deserves at least a second-round pick and potentially a late first when you're talking about a linebacker of his caliber. Took a couple years, but this season he's been a very impactful player for the Philadelphia Eagles. 100-plus tackles, all that. He tore his pec. He will not be playing in the Super Bowl. But they did that in 22, and then in 23, what did they do to follow that up? They went out. They got Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith in the first round. Paired those guys with those guys. And then they went out and got Keely Ringo in the fourth or fifth round later on in that draft. And they said, hey, these guys, they've won a championship together. These guys have been developed by Kirby Smart, and they know how to be professionals, and they're super talented in their own right. Would they have succeeded at other programs? Some of these guys probably, yeah. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, very specifically, and Keely Ringo, those guys were very high prospects. We're talking about 5-star players that probably would have succeeded in a lot of areas or in a lot of places around the country. But, the Jordan Davises of the world, a guy that was a lower recruit, goes to a Georgia and gets developed. That is something that people like. Someone that wasn't just handed the keys the way that a lot of 5-star recruits kind of over time do. That wasn't the case with Jordan Davis. So I think that the Eagles, they probably like that aspect of it too. They probably also like the fact that he's 6'6" and can run almost 20 miles per hour and is over 300 pounds. That is probably one of the things that they like as well. But more specifically, when it goes back to kind of the message of what I'm talking about here, those guys love it. And Nolan Smith is a very, very good example of kind of a personification of the Georgia program through a person, right? That's what personification means. But he kind of embodied that Georgia Bulldog spirit and kind of a lot of what Kirby Smart, he relayed those messages. A lot of the leaders on the team, they end up being echoes for Kirby Smart. And he definitely was one of them. In 2022, he was the one leading the pack in the offseason, heading into the undefeated season that Georgia had, right? Coming off of the national championship win against Alabama. Nolan Smith, he was the one trying to motivate the team. He was the one saying, hey, they're telling us that we're going to go 7-5 this season. Nobody thought that Georgia was going to lose 5 games in 2022. Not a team that had plenty of NFL talent, a returning starting quarterback that just helped them win a national championship. Guys like Brock Bowers and in their freshman years or in their sophomore years, guys like Malachi Starks coming in. Nobody thought that Georgia, unless I'm missing something, nobody thought Georgia would have performed that poorly in the 2022 season. Yet it seems like they believed that they had a chip on their shoulder. The national champions felt like they had a chip on their shoulder. How did that happen? That's what Kirby Smart does. He motivates these guys, and they embody all of the sayings and the unique things that they come up with. There weren't as many this past season. There weren't as many eat off the floors and keep the main thing and keep chopping wood. All of these mantras that they have to say. We will be the hunters, not the people being hunted. You didn't hear that as much this past season. And look, the team wasn't as good. I'm not saying those things directly correlate, but they might a little bit. You got a lot of that with those guys a few years ago. And what you really got in those 2 seasons was just total buy-in. And this is right before the transfer portal really took off, right before NIL really took off. So maybe those things have a little bit to do with it, and the culture of college football is changing. And I don't know if changing slightly, but buy-in, understanding, look, there's guys transferring out of Georgia now that I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm not naming a name right now, but you know who I'm talking about. I don't understand why some of these guys are leaving when they're in line to be potential superstars on a Georgia defense led by Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann and Travaris Robinson. Where are you going, man? Those couple $1 million are just a year away, and it could be way more than a couple $1 million. That's what I have to say about that. It's a little bit puzzling, and I'd say that about people leaving Alabama. I'd say that about people leaving. I'd say it about a handful of programs. What are you doing? That's what I'd say about that. But you watch Keely Ringo and N'Kobe and Jordan Davis and all those guys and what they have to say about Kirby and this program, it's really no secret that they're doing it better than most at the moment. Ohio State is the national championship right now. Michigan was the year before that. But Georgia is up there right now in terms of competing for that every single year. And it's because of the combination of Kirby and these players. Thanks for watching.